Bonjour tout le monde! Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel guys. I hope you're doing amazing. I'm happy to see you today for another video, and for this week's video, we're gonna talk about les animaux de compagnie. What is that? Les animaux de compagnie means pets. So we're gonna see all the vocabulary related to all the pets that we can have, the objects, the masculine, feminine, the plural. There's a lot of vocabulary lesson today. So, les animaux de compagnie means pets. Introduction. Apprendre le vocabulaire des animaux. Learn the vocabulary of the animals. Décrire un animal simplement. Describe an animal simply, easily. Utiliser avoir et être au présent. Use the verb to have and to be, present tense. And last thing, faire des phrases simples. To make simple phrases. Let's start straight away. First, le vocabulaire de base. Basic vocabulary. Before we start, before we read it, you have to keep in mind one thing. In French, we have the genders. Everything is gendered. So, of course, for the animals, you can have the female and the male version of the animal. Sometimes we tend to keep only one gender. We're going to see everything. But if it's masculine, you have to put the pronoun before the noun. The pronoun will be un. You see it? Un for the masculine. For the feminine, you say une. And for the plural, you say des. So don't forget to always keep your pronoun with your noun, and they both need to match the same gender. If you have an animal that is masculine, put your masculine pronoun. If it's plural, you put it plural, and you always connect those two. Let's start. First one, if you want to say a dog, singularly, un chien. Plural, des chiens. A cat, un chat. Some cats, des chats. And you see here, I'm always changing my pronoun with my noun. So for example, if my noun turns plural, so will be my pronoun. Un lapin, a rabbit or a bunny. If I want to say that plurally, des lapins. It doesn't change anything when I put the S pronunciation-wise, because the S is mute, pronounced in the same way. Un hamster, des hamsters. Un poisson, des poissons. Careful with this one. I hear a lot people say poison. If you say poison with the Z sound, it means poison. Careful. So don't say that. Really force yourself to pronounce it with the S sound. It's smooth. Poisson. Un poisson, a fish. Des poissons, fish, plural. This one tricky. If you want to say bird without the pronoun, so you see here it's masculine. But if you want to say just the word bird, you say oiseau. Oiseau. OI makes the sound wa, EAU makes the sound O, and my S is between two vowels, between the I and the E. When it's between two vowels, you pronounce your S with the Z sound. Oiseau. Now, because it starts with the pronoun un, because it's a masculine word, to say a bird, un oiseau, use your N to link it. Un oiseau. So you pronounce your un, and you're going to repronounce your N from un to follow your following word. Un oiseau, a bird. If you want to say birds, plural, same thing. It's still oiseau. It takes an X when it's plural, not the S. It's mute, but now I'm changing my pronoun into the plural one because it's plural birds. Des. You say des, and you pronounce your S with the rest. Des oiseaux. One more time. Un oiseau, des oiseaux. And then if you want to say a turtle, une tortue, turtles, des tortues. So when it comes to plural, it's not the exact same as in English, because in English you don't need the pronoun. You say just dogs, I see cats. In French, you need the des, D-E-S, always before your noun. Let's practice one more time the pronunciation. I'm going to give you time to pronounce it with me so that you can compare. Un chien, des chiens. Un chat, des chats. Don't pronounce the T when it's singular, and don't pronounce the TS. Un chat, des chats. Un lapin, des lapins. Un hamster, des hamsters. Un poisson, des poissons. Un oiseau, des oiseaux. Une tortue, des tortues. There you go. Now you have the basic vocabulary when it comes to pets. Let's see now how to describe an animal. Décrire un animal. If you want to describe an animal or anything else, you use adjectives. Adjectives, same thing. They always related to the gender of the noun that they refer to. So if I'm talking about something that is masculine, I'm going to put my adjective masculine. If it's something that is feminine, put that adjective feminine to show that it's related to that feminine thing. To say small, petit, petite. If you want to put that femininely, you add your E. This is the main rule. To switch an adjective from masculine to feminine, you add an E. The pronunciation will change. Why that? Pronunciation will change because if you take the word petit, it's finishing with the T. You're never going to pronounce a consonant in French that is not the R or the L. Here it's the T. It's not the R, it's not the L, so it's mute. So you say petit without pronouncing your T. When you put that femininely, the letter E is the letter of the feminine. It's always mute. Never pronounce the E. Unless there's an accent on it, but if there's no accent, it's always mute. But because it's mute, I'm going to pronounce my letter just before that mute E. So this one here, we're going to say petite. T. And I'm going to pronounce my last T because it's ahead of my mute E. So you have the difference between petit, masculine, petite, feminine. Same thing for big. Grand, don't pronounce the D, it's not the R or the L. Grand, grande, feminine, in front of my mute E. I pronounce grand, grande. To say cute, mignon, masculine, mignonne, feminine. And here you have to double the N before putting your feminine E. Mignon, mignonne. The colors, black, noir, noir. Same pronunciation because masculinely it's finishing with the R. I do pronounce it. Feminine, I don't pronounce the E. So I'm going to pronounce the R for both. Noir, noir. For white, it's a little bit different. We say blanc for the masculine, finishing with the C. It's not the R, the L, it's mute. Blanc. For the feminine, we're not going to add just an E. We're going to add HE. And we're going to say blanche. And you don't pronounce the E. Blanc, blanche. And to say brown, even tricky one here is going to be the same for both. Marron, marron. There's no feminine, we keep the same. Marron, marron. Example, my cat is small. Mon chat est petit. Chat is masculine. Petit is masculine. My dog is big. Mon chien est grand. And I'm going to put all my adjective masculines because here in those examples, chat et chien are masculine. And that's all. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Les objets des animaux, meaning objects, items, or things related to the animals. A cage, une cage. A bed or bed, un panier. Panier is the same word as a basket, but we use it either to put the little bed for the animal. Un panier. A leash, une laisse. Double S, S sound, une laisse. A toy, un jouet. E-T makes the E sound, un jouet. Food, de la nourriture. Nourriture means food, but we say some ahead, some food. Some is de la. De la nourriture, some food. And water, some water, de l'eau. E-A-U-O sound, de l'eau. One more time. Une cage, un panier, une laisse, un jouet, de la nourriture, de l'eau. There you go. Next part, let's focus on the useful verbs. Here, the verbs that we use mostly like all the time that are super like used when it comes to basic phrases related to pets. To eat, manger. To drink, boire. Don't pronounce the E. Boire. To sleep, dormir. Pronounce it, it's finishing with the R. Dormir. To play, jouer. Because ER together makes it sound E. So even if I'm not pronouncing the R on its own, it has an impact on my sound. Jouer. And to run, courir. Example. Mon chien mange. My dog eats. Mon chat dort. My cat sleeps. Mon hamster joue. My hamster plays. Mon lapin court. My bunny runs. There you go. That's all for the verbs. Now, if you want to talk about your animal, parler de son animal. Example of phrases. For example, if you want to say that you have an animal, you want to talk about it. J'ai plus your animal. Exemple, j'ai un chien. I have a dog. I have is j'ai, and you can say animal. Don't forget the pronoun. Second thing, il, elle s'appelle plus the name, meaning he or she is called. Il s'appelle Max. It is called Max. Il, elle est plus adjectif. Il est noir et petit. He is or it is black and small. Il, elle, plus the verb. Il joue beaucoup. He plays a lot. So here, there's a little difference between English and French is that in English, sometimes in the majority of cases, when you talk about your animal, you say it. Some people say he or she, which is fine if you consider it like really about like the gender of your animal, but most of the time you say it. In French, because we don't have it, you're gonna use the same pronoun as if you want to say he or she. You're just gonna pick the right one depending of the gender of your animal. So for example, here in the example, I have a dog, j'ai un chien. It's a male, okay? So if I'm gonna say he is black, I'm gonna say il est noir, using the masculine pronoun. And that's all. And then you just have to adjust your pronoun with the gender of your animal, with the gender of your adjectives to make everything smooth and related to each other. So everything is masculine, singular, or everything is feminine, singular, and you adjust everything. Example of a little dialogue. Tu as un animal? You have an animal? Oui, j'ai un chat. Yeah, I have a cat. Il s'appelle comment? What's his name? Il s'appelle Luna. His name is Luna. Il est comment? How is he? Or literally, he is how. It's informal, maybe two friends. Il est comment? Il est petit et blanc. He is small and white. Here, you see, same thing. I'm talking about my cat. Cat is chat. It's a masculine word. That's why here I use il to describe him, to talk about him. And for my adjectives, small and white, I'm going to use the masculine. Petit et blanc. And all for today's video. I hope that you guys liked it. If you did, don't forget to put a little thumbs up or a little comment. I read everything, so it's always cool to see if you guys have something to say or if it was useful, if you learned some new vocabularies. And I have made this little exercise for you where I made you some phrases, not that complicated, and you have to tell me if you think they're true or false. Meaning, do they make sense or is it weird? Does the adjective really correspond to the animal that I'm talking about or is it not really true? So if it's a general opinion that is true, you say vrai. If there's something weird and it doesn't sound right because it's maybe like the wrong adjective, you say faux. Let's read them together. Un éléphant est petit. Un hamster est petit. Un chien est souvent grand. Un lapin est souvent blanc. Une tortue est rapide. Rapide means fast. Un chat est mignon. Un chien est violet. Violet means purple. Un hamster est énorme. And here I can even do my link. Un hamster est énorme. Énorme, enormous. If it makes sense, you say vrai. If it doesn't, you say faux. And that is all for today's video. I hope that you guys liked it. Same as usual, if you want to practice even more on this topic, feel free to reach to us to do the challenges that we do every week. So today's challenge is about like the pets. So you're going to be able to have some challenges and exercises about all the vocabulary that we saw and more, some oral understanding. We have it for the A1, the A2, or the B1, B2 level. So no matter where you are in your French journey, I think it's a good exercise to practice and see like all the vocabulary that you know or not yet. So if you want to do that, don't forget to always text us or either send us a message like in the comment section or on Instagram and we'll be happy to help you. I hope that you like this video. I'm wishing you all a good end of your day, good end of your week, and I'm seeing you next week for another video. Salut!